I got a Patreon question, and he wanted to know what your thoughts were about what do they call it? The Eye of the Sahara. There's been apparently some articles that have come out recently indicating that the Eye of the Sahara, which is in Mauritania, Africa,
Yep.
apparently there is some speculation that this might be the location of Atlantis. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it would be, remnants of the Atlantean Empire.
Okay.
Probably outer parts of the Atlantean Empire. So when we talked about these 10 kings, they ruled not just in this island continent. That was Atlas's part of the empire, the center of the empire. But they were in South America, in Brazil, into Colombia. They were in Central America. They were in England and Ireland. They were in Spain and Portugal. And they occupied Egypt and parts of North Africa as well. And so they had buildings that represented their culture and their gods and temples. And so they had that same technology because they were just branch kings of the larger kingdom.
Yeah.
And so you would expect to find Atlantean artifacts. You would expect to find Atlantean architecture. It would just be part of it. And some of it would be built to replicate the home city and the home islands. So one would expect that as they reach out with the visibility of the magnificence, so to speak, of that empire. It's advertising all throughout, just as all beast empires did. Mm-hmm. So let's say the Roman Empire is the classic example where they set up all of their architecture wherever they went.
So the megalithic structures in Peru, in South America, we see, the Incas building their structures. Do you think that those megaliths that were precisely cut and fitted and quarried and taken up mountains, and we don't even know how, do you think that that is a remnant of some of that Atlantean architecture?
Yeah, it's, the Incas or any of the First Nation peoples in the Americas will tell you that they did not build any of these sites.
Right. Yeah.
That they inherited them, and they're way older than their civilizations, and they have no idea how old. And some of them will tell you that it dates back to before the flood, and these are sort of the remnants from that flood. And so when you get something like Machu Picchu, that's you have this city built up in the mountains to such masonry that we can't do today. And you have this similar technology of astrological alignment, sacred geometry, ratios, comparisons and ratios to the earth, to the pyramids in Central America. This is not coincidence. This is angelic technology.
Yeah.
And that the legends that go with it is that, they were built rather quickly because it was, the blocks were created with some sort of godlike technology and then moved, like they floated through the air and into place. So they were able to build it. So, and in all cultures around the world, they say they inherited their cities and their culture and their knowledge from the gods. So there's a standard delusion worldwide, on every continent and every culture, that the elitists always say is just sort of this mass delusion, but have no ability to create any sort of science other than junk science to assert their theories. And it's just there to hide the real history until they're ready to show whatever that they want. So, this is all angelic technology, and it's all before the flood. Even the Great Pyramid. I mean, if they say it's 2350 to 2450 of Cheops or Khafra, if anything, they only did a renovation on this. So how do we know that? Again, that's a secular dating, as opposed to biblical dating that we use for 2350 to 2450, but would match up after the flood from a biblical timetable. But you have this specific angle of degree. I think it's 52.5 degree slope on the Great Pyramid. And it is depicted on the stela of Narma, or Menes, it's called both, showing this great pyramid in the background that's been dated at about 3000 BC.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I mean, so did they just dream that up and just put it in, and then somehow down the road they decided to build it, but then right after that they lost all of their knowledge and their technology, and they could never redo it again, and they just got progressively worse. I mean, the nonsense of the logic that goes behind people saying that, you know, these were built by the Incas or they're built by whomever, or the Egyptians, it just doesn't stand up to scrutiny, let alone the historical accounts from those peoples.
Yeah, it's the same thing with the burial mounds here in North America. Same kind of thing, you know.
Yeah. Well, and you know, with like the serpent mounds, for example, again, you get that imagery again of the serpent that's worldwide. That's where the gods serpentine worldwide for the most part, other kinds, but they were the more predominant ones. And again, you know, you're not getting that soil erosion that should be happening on those on those monuments.
Yeah.
And again, you have these same kinds of sacred geometry and celestial alignments that are way beyond what the elitists would tell us that the people had the technology to do. So, but again, the First Nations people say they didn't build these things. And that, you know, there's two different theories, you know, in terms of how some of the technology and stuff came about in North America as opposed to Central or South America. Some it has like the extension of the Aztecs or the Quiché Maya. They migrated up and developed that type of architecture. But more and more, the evidence is suggesting that people migrated to the south to establish those civilizations. So it's almost getting to be an even debate back and forth which one it is. And the Hopi, they take their post-Diluvian history back to settlers that were the White Snake Clan from the island continent, which was Atlantis.